Okay, their costs come way down because suddenly they're not having to do anything. I mean, you know, when you talk about cost containment, think about this. Now, I'm an orthopedic surgeon. If I inject your shoulder with steroid, Medicare tells me I have to charge whatever it is. Let's say it's $100. But if it were a cash system, you could say, well, I'm going to go to the orthopedic surgeon to inject my shoulder because they've got a lot more training, I'm going to do it. But then another guy could say, hey, listen, they're doing it for $75. My family practitioner does a hell of a good injection, does it for $25. I'm going over to him. That's cost containment. That's why LASIK has come down. But we have none of that, like Ralph was saying. It's one size fits all. The worst doctor gets paid the same as your best doctor. And the most efficient person. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Another thing that I would suggest, everybody's heard of identity theft, right? And you can now get your free credit report once per year, okay? Now, identity thieves earn between $1.50 and $3 per identity that they steal. Medical identity theft is much more lucrative. They earn $50 per medical identity that they steal, okay? Much more lucrative. Because if they steal your medical identity, they can use that to apply for insurance and commit insurance fraud. Very, very lucrative for criminals. I wrote about it on MediBlog. I wrote a big article. Medical Information Bureau. Okay, look them up. You have to Google them. You are entitled to get a free MIB report, and you'll see the hits that have been put on the central database. Google them, email them and say, I want my free MIB report. And they'll print and mail it to you. It takes a couple weeks. It's not electronic. It's not as quick as a credit report, but everybody should do that, just to see what kind of things are on your record.
One of the things we haven't talked, there's a question.
What is preventative care, and is it desirable, and if so, how should we?
Well, that's a good question. And let me tell you, the problem is that what they call preventive care is just nonsense. You know, I have a colleague who's Eric Braverman. He has a cash practice on Broadway, 6,000 square feet, doing real preventive care, and he does it all for cash. I mean, there's a whole group of medicine. It's kind of misnamed as anti-aging medicine, but it's the fastest group of medical doctors, the biggest, fastest growing organization in the country are these group of guys, and they really do preventive medicine. They really, instead of treating the end of things, they look at you and they do very sophisticated tests for cash, but it's not outrageously expensive, and they figure out how to change things and to make sure they optimize your health before you get there. But unfortunately, what we call preventive medicine is a lot of nonsense a lot of times. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. But for example, we do, you come in and have the doctor listen to your heart, and you have some things, and you might have they convince you should have a chest x-ray or whatever. Some of it makes sense, okay, but some of it is really a waste of money. I mean, the way we do cholesterol testing is probably not that valuable. It doesn't really pick up. We should be fractionating your lipids and really looking at particle size. So we know how to do it, but the problem is it takes time to talk to patients. I actually used to do this. One day a week for a while, I did a little anti-aging clinic, did a fellowship, and our other friend Lee Carisco does that because we found it works for us. I mean, I'm 60 years old, I feel great, and I just do it on myself. But it turns out that you can do that, but you really need to run a cash practice to do it because Medicare and stuff won't pay for the stuff that really makes a difference, in my opinion. But yeah, the real preventive care does. You really look at, we have the way, for example, we have science behind this, to look at from the time you eat food until it turns into energy. There are all these systems, okay? And they're run by enzymes. And we can now check every step of that for about $400 and see where you're deficient. I mean, why not do that? I found that's very valuable, but we don't do that kind of thing. But I do think that's real preventive medicine. Of course, the real preventive medicine, there's 4 pillars. I mean, you got to get good sleep. You can't live by the electric light cycle and stay up all night. And you need to get regular exercise. There's a good book. We have science behind that about how you do regular exercise. And diet is everything. You are what you eat. So there's a lot of now scientific stuff funneling into diet that could be useful, but you don't usually get that at these things. And then bioidentical hormone replacement is part of it, I think. There's things you can do along that lines, but that's not the way standard. And I actually have an article back there. It's called Why Your Doctors. I think, do I have Why Your Doctor's Out of Date there, Ramona? Yeah, I don't know if I have very many of those, but copy that up. We'll save one for him. Why Your Doctor's Out of Date. Because unfortunately, here's the way it works, okay? How does, thank God our computer industry doesn't use this paradigm. And we have another physician who can attest this. The state medical boards have what they call standard of care. If you fall outside of the standard of care, they dump you. But guess what their definition of standard of care is? It's that I'm doing what 90% of my colleagues are doing. Now think about that. 90% of people are not the leaders. The 10% used to be considered the leaders. Now we just define them as wrong. So in medicine, we have the highway to understanding is littered with the dead and drunken bodies of doctors that were right and ridiculed out of the profession. I mean, because if you're thinking outside the box and you happen to be right, the medical, if you're not doing what 90% of your colleagues are doing, you get drummed out. It's really bad. I mean, both in the literature and in the way we practice medicine. But again, Milton Friedman didn't think we should license doctors, and he's probably right. You already know that you have a medical degree. You don't need another license and a bunch of stuff. But what they do is they prevent the forward thinking of medicine. So it's a big story.
In Canada, you can't get an annual physical because it's not considered medically necessary. They've proven under single-payer health care that preventative medicine does not save money. It costs more money. Okay? It costs more money. Now, it saves lives, but it doesn't save money. And there's a distinction. So in a single-payer system, they're all worried about the money because there's a global budget. Okay? Now, for any individual, him or herself in this audience, I think it's a great thing. Okay? For yourself, if it's the right kind of testing, okay, and stuff. The stuff that the insurance companies are now calling preventative care, some of it, yeah, maybe is okay, but most of it is just fluff. What they want in a traditional third-party payer health plan, Blue Cross, United, etc., what they want is any insurance that you buy. When you buy house insurance, car insurance, life insurance, you don't run home and say, oh, let's read the policy, how can I use this? No, you don't. But with health insurance, you do. And they want you to use it. Because with the medical loss ratio, since they have to spend 80% of your money that year, that means they have to spend 100% of your money in about 13 and a half months. So how do they get you to use that? And 13 and a half months, I mean, if you buy life insurance, you might pay a premium of $50 a month for 30 years. You've paid $18,000 into the policy, and you die, and somebody gets $100,000. I mean, it's actually grown. In health insurance, if you put in $100, it actually shrinks. The only way that health insurance companies can make money on your money is by your utilization, because they make 20%, and 20% of an MRI is more than 20% of an X-ray. So they want you to use it more, they want you to get more expensive care, they want you to spend more money, because then they make more money. And the reason that they want preventative care covered is because it's kind of a sexy benefit. It's kind of a feel-good thing. You get to go in and have your annual physical or colonoscopy or whatever it is, and they get to say, oh, look what we gave you. Look what we gave you. We gave this to you for free. You didn't have to pay for it. Okay? So they want you to feel good about this policy that you have. Now you're using it. You're getting something out of it. Okay? So the whole preventative care thing for individuals with the right testing, yes, very, very good. System-wide, it costs more money than it saves.
If you have access to the internet, look up Eric Topol. He was a classmate of mine in Rochester, but he showed on the internet, there's a thing going around, shows him, he's out at Scripps, and he shows what real preventive care is going to look like in the future on your iTouch and your iPhone. And we're going to put a little tiny speck of something that floats around in your arteries and alert you 2 weeks ahead of time when you're going to have a heart attack. The technology's out there. We actually have it. Oh yeah, I'm just for fun, I just got this to test my bracelet. This thing monitors my sleep pattern, it monitors how much I move, tells me the calories. I just got it to play with because I'm a geek, but it's just fun. And this is where we're going to be going. That's going to be preventive health care. It's going to monitor your blood pressure, tell you when you need to do something. There's a lot